just like that, it's time for our weekly roundup of all the things Lady just ain't gonna do this week. Number 1, the State of the Union was right-wing backlash at its finest. Well, folks, I did myself a favor, and I did not watch the State of the Union address right when it aired, because at this time in my life, I really just don't need to rush shit. But because I love y'all, Lady did, in fact, watch it to break it down for you, and here's what I want to start off with. The State of the Union address was very much intended to appeal to white suburban voters. And why this should concern you is because it means that what the Democratic Party is finna do is what they usually do when they're trying to win elections. They move to the right to try and appeal to the voters they think they can break off from the other side, rather than expand their base with the faithful voters of their party. Now, I don't want you to take this as any kind of message of despair. It's not, and Lady has some thoughts on what I think the plan should be. But I do want you to consider very, very seriously what I said on the podcast in December when we did the mailbox episode. Y'all remember that? Now, if you don't like what they're doing with an apparatus that's supposed to serve us, then it's time to take that thing over. I could get into all of the nuances of what happened during the speech, but I actually would encourage you to do this instead. I want you to go and I want you to watch the 2020 Democratic Convention. And then I want you to watch President Biden's State of the Union speech and then tell me what you notice. Yes, the president talked about Ukraine and sanctions, being competitive with China, infrastructure, the economy, healthcare, and refunding the police. You can focus on that. And in some ways, you should certainly pay attention to it. But really, what I want you to do is notice that we are in the midst of a severe backlash that is set to take this country backwards 20 years. And for the next 20 years, if we don't act and act now. Now, look, I know there's a lot of uproar about the policing stuff, and we already knew President Biden was not going to advocate for anything but a robust criminal legal system. He's been campaigning on that for years, and we spent 2 years championing slogans rather than substance that would have moved the country towards new ways of investing resources, from punishment to care. Now the party is most concerned about losing moderate voters who were not in favor of the reforms to policing. They're also scared about the state of the economy domestically and globally. What's the connection here? Well, people have less and less and are willing to do whatever they need to do in order to survive. And that gets translated into a spike in crime, air quotes. A winning strategy for this party this time around would be this: championing economic reforms that are widely and deeply felt, addressing the global public health crisis to bring some stability to communities across the nation and the world. Frankly, the kind of infrastructure that's based on care and creating jobs. And then, of course, expanding people's right to participate as folk feel like they're getting less and less from their government. Now, you'd be hitting Republicans as extremists who are blocking progress and your access to everything you need and fought hard for. And you would be running hard for the voters who are feeling it the most. And you would stop trying to be so friendly with the other side's message and the other side's messengers, because really, all that shit is a red herring anyway. Rich people and people who still got something, they want more police so they can keep what they got. Poor people and working class folks and people who feel like they're sliding into oblivion, well, they know the police are fucked up, but frankly, they don't want to see any more money being taken out of their communities. They hear defund and they feel less services, and we already ain't got shit. Now, moderate white suburban voters are not gonna save this country, period. It ain't happened and it ain't gonna happen. It's the people who have the most to lose who fight hard to hold on. And it's time that somebody invested in us. So now that you've seen who that party is going to fight for and who they've been fighting for, the answer is not to disengage. The answer is to become the superheroes in our own stories. Now, if they won't do it for us, let's just do it for each other. They may never thank us, but it doesn't fucking matter. We'll thank each other. Let's fucking go. Don't just get mad. Let's get organized. Anyways, y'all. Next thing that lady just ain't gonna do this week, but definitely did a lot of, is packing up your whole life to move it across the country. Now, let me be honest here. Moving of any type is probably the deepest fiery pit of hell. I really do believe this. I mean, there is no one, and I mean no one on the planet that enjoys moving. And if they say they do, I know they a fucking lie. Now, don't get me wrong. I am excited about starting this next phase of my life. And I can tell you also that moving of any kind gives me the kind of anxiety that just makes me want to lay in bed all day and watch all 6 seasons of Sex and the City in a row. Purging, asking yourself, God, why do I still have my readers from college? And am I ever really going to ride that skateboard again? I mean, even though I love it, I'm pretty sure I'm asking for trouble if I plant my feet on that thing again. I'm too old for that shit. Old pictures and memories. Packing. Do I really need all this stuff or should I just start over? Is this stuff even going to fit where I'm headed? How the hell did I get all this stuff anyway? And then, of course, if you're like me and you like your things, at a certain point you just say, fuck it, everything goes and I'll deal with it in the new place. Sound familiar? Now, I'm sure I'll get to the new place and say, I can't believe I paid for all this shit to go across country, but for now, I'm letting it go and I'm giving it to God. So ask me in a couple weeks what I did with all that shit. But for now, say a prayer for your girl, say a prayer for my stuff, say a prayer for my life making its way across country in a moving truck, ready for the next phase. Moving really is the fucking pit of hell. I don't care if you're moving down the street. It's just, ugh. Other things lady just ain't gonna do this week. The officer who fired shots into Breonna Taylor's home gets cleared of wanton endangerment charges for the neighbors. Now, former officer Brett Hankerson was cleared of wanton endangerment charges this week in Kentucky. The officer shot 10 shots into Breonna Taylor's home during a botched police raid in Kentucky in 2020. He did not fire any of the shots that killed Breonna Taylor, but prosecutors charged him with wanton endangerment for her neighbors. I just report the news, y'all, but let me say this. We still want justice for Breonna Taylor, and this shit ain't it. None of the officers involved, and I mean none, zero of the officers involved have been charged for her death. Not one. And this is why we say that when there are consequences, it's the exception to the rule and not the rule itself. Okay, y'all. Jesus, Lord, here we go. Let's get into what we want more of this week, though, which is another installment of Ladies' Love Notes, which are basically the chronicles of dating as a newly single 40-wonderful-year-old. All right, here we go, y'all. So I have been super emo this last couple of weeks as my time in Oakland, for now, is quickly coming to a close. I've pretty much put this dating thing on hold because for real, I just have come to the conclusion that Oakland is just too fucking small for me right now. And frankly, I got shit to do and I got a lot of shit on my mind. And the last thing I need right now in this moment, besides really amazing orgasms, is to deal with any more shenanigans of the Oakland type. Let me just mind my damn business for now. I mean, there's going to be plenty of stories to be told in the ATL. I am sure of it. And while I do not believe that I will rid myself of the follies of dating in my 40s, at least it'll be in a new environment. New people, new characters, new dynamics, same old shit. So y'all know I'm like super close with my ex, like uber close, going ride for each other until the day we die. And then later on in the afterlife, like we tight, like this. And I had to tell my ex the other day after they told me that they wanted to give me some major life updates that I am not, in fact, ready to hear about anybody they're dating or, perhaps falling in love with. And I'm in my feelings about it on all the levels. It's not because I'm being stank. I promise you, I'm not. I knew this day would come eventually. I'm just all the way overwhelmed with life in general. And what I don't want to do ever is not give them the attention, grace, and blessing that they deserve. Now, I remember when we first started dating. They'd just gotten out of a relationship with someone they've been with for a while, and if I'm being honest, it's been enough time now. We can talk real talk about the shit. That relationship was toxic as fuck. And in fact, when they broke up, she told them they were not allowed to date me. Oh yeah, I was on a list of women he was not allowed to date. Now, what kind of fucking nonsense is that? And then, of course, when she found out that we were, in fact, dating later on, she wrote me a 4-page letter telling me that I wasn't a feminist because I was dating her ex or some shit. She even tried to have some sit down with me, and I was finna go and do it until my bestie intervened and was like, no, bitch, you owe that woman absolutely nothing. And the only purpose this serves is her trying to top you, and there is no way you should allow that. So instead of having a sit down, I just prayed for her. I prayed for that woman for years. To be so hurt and so broken is, in and of itself, actually hard work. And so I prayed for her to find ease. I prayed for me to have grace for her, and I prayed that she wasn't going to catch these hands. Now, I thought my ex and I would be together forever. That's what we planned. And then life happened, and our lives started moving in different directions. We love each other enough to set each other free, under the premise that we deserve to pursue whatever it is that makes us happy, even if it's no longer our relationship. And yes, that is some grown people shit, but it's also years of couples counseling that taught us how to really, really be in a relationship with each other. I am so grateful for that. Now, when we broke up, it wasn't dramatic, like not even in the slightest bit. I mean, it was sad, right? But it wasn't dramatic. And maybe each of us was a little bit relieved that we'd done all this work to be good to each other and that it was paying off. I've been seeing people, they've been seeing people. They even tried to tell me about the awkwardness of their first date, and I really didn't want to hear it, but I stomached it because I always want to be their friend and their confidant. Like literally always. And I never want them to think that they can't talk to me. But in that moment, even though his ex really had issues, this was the first time I really understood why people go off the rails after breakups and start trying to impose weird ass rules on the people they used to be in a relationship with. Now, here's a hint in terms of the why. You got issues to work out, but instead of working on your shit, you try to control other people's behaviors. Don't be trying to keep somebody that ain't trying to be kept by you. That's industry rule number 4081. Now, in my mind, it's still only been a few weeks since we've been broken up, but the truth of the matter is, this summer, it'll be a whole year. And since summer is just a few short months away, like 2, then that means it's been at least 10 months since we said goodbye to our relationship in that form and said hello to a lifelong friendship. And because it's been a few weeks in my mind instead of almost a year, it really quite shocked me when they said they had some major life updates to share with me, because I realized that they were probably going to tell me that they'd fallen in love with someone else. Yeah, I know. Otherwise, y'all know, I would have gotten the update already, child. I mean, we'd be talking like every other day. Now, quickly, for context, we talked about this moment when we first broke up, and we made some agreements with each other. Honestly, I didn't want to hear about who they were fucking or dating, and I know they don't want to hear about what's happening on my end in that arena, but we agreed that if things started to get more serious with someone, we'd talk to each other directly about it and not let the other person find out in some weird-ass way. Again, grown people shit. But that doesn't mean it's still not weird as fuck. I have effectively postponed this conversation until April because I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to not be the primary love in his life, even though that is what's happening and it's what should happen. We're not together anymore by mutual choice, and it was a good choice and the right choice. And I'm not ready to show up emotionally correct for the conversation the way that they deserve. I have so much happening in my own life. Transition, heartache, all the things. They really do deserve my undivided attention, my genuine well wishes, and my willingness to adapt our relationship to whatever allows them to pursue a new one with someone else. And the truth of the matter is, I just ain't got it right now. It's a fact. But I am a commitment to getting there in a couple of weeks. Let me get settled in my new house so I can mourn in private. Shit is really, really real. And while I welcome it, I ain't ready for it. Not just yet. The moral of the story is this. When relationships end, they change form. And they keep changing form because life is just that way. People change. I am friends with everyone I've ever dated. For real, for real. Because I figure if I loved you once, then that love can still be present in a friendship, and it should be. Now, by friends, I don't always mean we talk every day and hang out, but I mean we cool and we ain't gonna be on no weird shit when I see you. All relationships change form, and so do people, many times over in a lifetime. People fall in and out of love. I was with this man for 17 years, and so I forgot in a lot of ways how to go through a breakup. To be honest, I also forgot how to date, and that's why this whole period of my life is so ridiculously hilarious. But I also forgot about this part, the part where one or both of you moves on. Now, I think I have an inkling about who this person is, but I haven't confirmed it, and it doesn't really matter. All I want for the person who used to be my person, and who in some ways will always be my person, is to find the love that they deserve, because they're amazing and they deserve all the good things that the world has to offer. And in the meantime, lady gonna get herself together and be happy for them and give it my blessing and work on not being weird when I see them out in the world with their new boo. I know. One day it's gonna be me having this awkward conversation with them about someone I've fallen head over heels with. And my ex is going to be happy for me, and they're going to do whatever they got to do to see my new person the way that I do, just like I'm about to do for them. That's what forever love is all about. Romantic or not, we ride for each other, no matter what. So, all that to say, I'm working up to it. I ain't there yet, but I most definitely will be. I'm also grown enough to acknowledge and communicate my temporary limitations, to acknowledge that while we will always be the best of friends, there will come a time when I no longer will be the lady in his life. And that time might just be right now.